Hello. In university, I lived with two different sets of people. In the first year, I just lived with people who were allocated to me that I didn't know beforehand or anything like that, and we just lived in halls. And I don't want to say too much bad about them because I don't really know them, to be honest. I went out trying to do things and trying to go to Freshers Week and go to all these things, and they didn't do those same things, so we didn't have much of a crossover at the beginning. And then after that, I guess I just knew them as the people who were trashing the place all the time, because they would do things like pour salt all over the floor, or pour candle wax, just melted candle wax all over the place, and unplug the fridge and freezer, take away the batteries in the remote, take away the sofa cushions, leave dirty pots and pans everywhere, put things inside the kettle, or, all sorts of stuff like that. I sort of think that they did these things because they wanted to be like crazy students, do crazy things, and just, we can't think about things because we've got to be crazy students, we just do things, no thinking. So just wanted to do things like that, so they just doing things like that, and to me it made no sense. It seemed weird, and you're just trashing the kitchen, and that's where we eat or make food, and just noisy and messy, and it doesn't make sense. But yeah, so I lived with them for a year in halls, and then in the second and third year I lived in a house with three boys who I essentially met on Freshers Week. And one thing is, it's quite easy to think, this is just temporary accommodation. It doesn't really matter. It's just, we're only going to be here for a year or something, and it's just student place. And if someone is making a huge mess or doing stuff like that, or even if it's small problems like, or a light bulb needs changing or something like that, it's really easy to just think, I'll just get through this and then that's it, it's only temporary. But when in the second and third year, one of my housemates, Thomas, pretty much took on responsibility for doing things like ringing our landlord if there was any problems or things like that. And I think that can go pretty much underappreciated, because because it's a task that a lot of people might just say, why bother, it's just temporary accommodation. But it's taking on responsibility and doing things about things, which is quite a good quality to have, I think. And he was quite a good, reliable person in those senses. One thing I found also is that while at university, it seemed like no one really cared about each other. Like, it seemed like hardly ever someone would ask me how I was or what I was doing, or to do something with me, or any of that stuff, basically. And it can just seem like you're on your own out there, just, from my perspective, it can just seem like you live practically alone with other people, essentially. You cook for yourself, you come and go as you want, do what you want, you have to, doing your own little thing, coming and going. And that can be good, because you can just get to come and go and do what you want without someone questioning what you're doing, or why you're doing it, or whatever, or asking you what you did today, there's no pressure, you can just do what you want. But on the other hand, at times it does feel like no one cares. And one thing I found that the first time that I went at home for 2 days, Thomas noticed that and wanted to know where I was, in case I'd just gone missing or something like that. And that it felt good knowing that someone had noticed I wasn't in the house that time. Yeah, so I think yeah, it's just quite a good quality to have, to just to take on responsibility for these things that you don't have to take responsibility for. You could just say, oh, this is a temporary time in my life, or this is just temporary, or none of this stuff matters, or these blah blah blah. But instead, he took responsibility for landlordy stuff or caring about people around him, things like that, and that's quite good.